We found that one of our core businesses, which is a fair amount of properties, we couldn't rent them. And we had quite a lot of people that were asking us what the speed of the fibre was, and we said, well, actually we don't have fibre. I managed to get hold of Phil and say, look, is there any way we can do a self-dig and get the properties all online?
Openreach, we worked and coincided with Edward from the Benacre estate, and as you can see from the map behind us, we had various self-dig opportunities that we had to do, 3 in all. As you can see here, varying different distances that we had to try and cover. We had lots of problems with getting the digs done through the normal conventional method, which was digging on the highway. But when we got talking to the local farmers, and Edward in particular, these 3 self-dig opportunities just came out as areas that we could actually get digging. We've actually got 2 different types of products that we're providing, fibre to the premise and fibre to the cabinet. But all of these required a self-dig opportunity.
So our first project was to move telegraph pole and then put a cable all the way where the poles were. And our second was to pull armoured cable through the ducts. And the third was just molding cable straight into farmland, which enabled us to get access to all the houses. Taking down the poles didn't cost us anything, but there's a cost involved. And I know Openreach weren't happy with just taking the poles out because they work. There was nothing wrong with them there except for the way they looked. And so our tenant farmer asked Openreach whether they'd be happy if we dug, put the cable in and we paid for that, and if they supplied all the kit, whether we could proceed like that. So we did. So all the cable and ducts and everything like that was delivered by Openreach. We asked them what to do and they told us. We hired a digger and did it like that. Some of it's farmland. You do have to be careful because of the crop cycle, but these modern machines now, the width is a couple of feet. So if you're going to do it by a hedge, obviously a little bit further out because of the roots, you can go down a certain distance and then you're not going to re-plough it up in the future. Every process is different. Whether you go through ducts, some of them could be blocked, some of them are quite old, some need the armoured cable.
So this is part of the self-dig. Obviously I had to put this box in to accommodate these joints to go in. This is where it's hard spliced through to the customer. And this is all put away nice and all buried.
This is the fibred armoured cable that we use. It's a toughened fibred armoured cable that can be put directly and buried into the ground. 36 fibres in there. We free issue this to the landowner. They dig it straight into the ground and then backfill it, and that's there for the rest of the future.
There was some labour time. There was hire of a digger. Some people have their own. Where you have a tractor that can mould the cable in behind it, that's nice and easy. There's a bit of management time, but not very much. There was a bit of interfacing with the local farmers, but relatively little for what we've achieved.
Wayleaves have to be signed for our equipment to be put onto private property, but in this case it was a case of speaking to the local farmers because it was a no-brainer to get the work completed and get the fibre connected.
It makes it more cost effective, it makes it less time consuming, and therefore for rural communities which have been left out in the past, this is a potential solution for them to be connected as quickly as possible and more importantly cost effectively as possible. And that's a real benefit not just for those communities but for all of the communities across Suffolk.
This is an exemplary demonstration of what can be achieved when Suffolk County Council, along with our partners such as Openreach and the community, work together. It is important that you contact the Better Broadband for Suffolk team to declare your interest in a self-dig scheme. Please note that no scheme is the same and each will come with its own timeframes and its own challenges. The team will be able to assist you in the process and determine the most beneficial and cost-effective approach. You can contact the team by visiting the Better Broadband for Suffolk website, www.betterbroadbandsuffolk.com.
Our speed here recently was about 5 or 6 meg, and now it's a whopping 330 meg, which if you have children, iPads, Sky, normal broadband, now it's fantastic.